The Wannabes episode 18 of season 2. My name is JD.
Yo, what's up, JD? And you know me, it's with your boy Wasabi. How are you doing today?
Good. You change up the intro, and I think you screw yourself up sometimes.
It happens. It happens.
We
Look,
got to
we did a
experiment.
lot of talking. Yeah, we got to mix it up. And look, I'm just excited to talk because your boy just woke up with an email for a second round interview
Oh
for a
shit.
project manager job. Yeah, so that's what the switch up is for. Thank you for being a dick about it.
I
But
always will. Always.
yeah, plus we're shooting this at 7:30 in the morning on my end. So
Yeah, it's
a little bit groggy.
It's 10:45 Eastern time and 7:45 whack ass time. I patented that. I refuse to acknowledge Will living in a different time zone. We will work through this. But dude,
Yeah.
I'm super amped. Yeah, the job search was something you're keeping. You weren't keeping a secret. You're keeping kind of DL. So
Yeah,
this is awesome.
yeah. Thanks. I mean, there's not too much to talk about it just yet. Like,
Sure.
I'm still kind of just throwing my name into the ring per se. But it's just excited to start flexing the interview and stuff like that. It's funny. I actually popped off on the first round because it was like my first interview that I did last week, and I was like, I'm so fucking good at interviews. I wish I could just get paid for doing interviews and talking about myself, but probably that's why we have a podcast together.
That's really funny. I've always felt I'm good at interviews too. Maybe that's why we gravitated toward this podcast, because every episode's an interview. Does that make any sense? No, definitely.
No, it's close enough. We like hearing ourselves talk. I
Yeah,
mean,
sure.
we'll get into that later this episode. Actually, we got some exciting news about us talking more. So
Wow, that was honestly a plus teaser. That was sick.
thank you. I'm working on it, but before that, we got to talk about just you talking.
Yeah.
About your little project. I know you have a little bit of an update for us.
Yeah. I got some seedlings that are starting to kind of grow out of the ground. I mentioned last week Garlic Salt, my new podcast project. Originally, I'd planned to release on May 1st. That might have to be delayed, which doesn't matter. I mean, look, I'm totally cool with doing a soft release or doing a teaser or whatever. This is all just process related stuff. But one thing I'm really excited to talk about is kind of ramifications. That has a negative connotation, like the
side effects.
Yeah.
Positive side effects.
Exactly, some positive side effects from starting this. So I think I mentioned getting a TV writer on and doing an interview, and that went well. That was its own kind of thing, and he followed up after the interview by asking if I'd be interested in reading. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. We'll see, but reading a movie script. I won't mention any names.
Yeah. Don't, just to be safe.
I think I could say I'm. He sent me a movie script.
A movie script, yeah. One of the few movie scripts out there.
Sure, yeah. There's only 3, so
yeah. we'll get Cypher to figure it out.
Yeah, which one is it? But yeah, dude. So he sent it to me, and I kind of treated it as oh, he's throwing me a bone.
Yeah.
My input is maybe as a viewer. He later told me that my I'm the perfect demo that they're going for, and he said look, I kind of know what I'm talking about. I'm at least a student of screenwriting, so he goes, yeah, any input, anything that's not working for you, just let me know. And so that was, I think, Thursday I got it, and so this weekend I was taking it very, very seriously. Like at one point I go, hey, I've never done this before. This might have college freshman overstepping to the professor type vibes, trying to impress him, but here's what I did. So I did 1 page per act, where I would read an act one day, do a quick write-up, some lines that didn't work, 1 or 2 typos, just hey, I caught this thing, but just oh, I like this character, I want this to happen. I only read the first act, but this is what I'm looking towards. This is what I'm feeling at this moment. Same thing with Act 2, and then Act 3, where I kind of did a short essay, like a 1-page essay of overarching things I liked, and some things that like I was distracted by, and things that I
Mm-hmm.
thought maybe this could be changed. Um, and I'm kind of waiting on his notes back. I sent the last line, the last page yesterday, but so far he's been pretty receptive, saying, "Hey, thanks for this. Like, this is cool." Um, Probably being polite for a lot of it,
Yeah.
but man, it was really. I was bragging to my whole family all weekend. Like, dude,
No,
this,
that's sick.
yeah,
That's
like
amazing.
this guy sent me a like a real movie that has a chance of being made, and asked for my thoughts. Um, and if nothing else, it's like an insanely good. I learned so much. Like a feature length script is about 100. This one was about 110 pages. I hope I could say that. Um, and that's a lot of reading. It's a lot of source material to like dive into,
Mm-hmm.
and it was yeah, it was one of the best educations I've ever gotten in this field. Probably the best. I don't even know why I'm hedging it. The best education I've ever gotten. Um,
Yeah.
with this.
That's amazing. Congrats, man. No, that's super sick. And I mean, like, I know you said throwing a bone, but like, you know, I again, like, if you fit the demographic, it also like there's at least a certain level of trust on your opinion, or you just happening to be like the right person to like, you know, do a test demo on, you know. But either way, like, you know, you took it in full stride, and I think that's amazing. I mean, one, reading that much over a weekend, it sounds crazy to me, but two, like that's such an awesome experience, and I'm glad that it's just very apparent that you're enjoying it, and yeah, keep us updated without, you know, disclosing too much for your sake also.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not too worried about like anyone tracking down. We have, we're kind of small fries in the podcasting space, so I doubt we're getting
Yeah.
screened for this type of stuff. But I will say it was almost unlucky. I really need to be cognizant of what a podcast guest, because this is like golden child networking example, right?
Yeah, kind of beginner's luck
Yeah,
type thing.
well said,
Yeah.
exactly. So I need to be like, hey, I was anticipating getting him on, and best case scenario, or I guess most often scenario would be I get the episode, and then I use that episode to say, hey, here's something I've done, and maybe get the next guest and kind of get that rolling, right? And I think
Mhm.
95% of the time, that's what I need to anticipate, because that's kind of what I'm gunning for, as like, just string along one interview after another, and kind of keep that going. But this became something so much different, where I was like, okay, there's a small chance that my, because when I say I took this seriously, I was like, very that act 3 write up where I said, very carefully crafted critique, right? Just
Mhm.
I went over it with a fine tooth comb, this small essay, and I thanked him a million times, and I want it to be genuine, but not like acting like I knew better. It's I took it very seriously, because you only get a couple shots like this, punching above your weight, and I'm like, fuck, if I might as well give this my best shot, and still expect very little. Just expect maybe a thank you, and then maybe him agreeing to like give me critique on my podcast, or something small in return. Um, but you never know how these things kind of can turn into an opportunity, or turn into like a real long-term network relationship, like.
Yeah. Even if you like, obviously our heads go to like the opportunity more so, but like
Mhm.
especially as like a network relationship, it seems like, you know, like you can keep in like contact and be able to be like, hey, you know, like I'm thinking about doing this, or hey, I'm curious on your thoughts about this, if it applies to his background and stuff like that. And I think again, like having like a long term network and possibly like a mentor down the line is something that like is really important for like anyone in their 20s, you know, career wise. I think that's the again, you know, that's so important, and that's like the thing I stress even when I'm doing job interviews. So it's just like having a mentor is crucial. I mean, like obviously we talk about it in Smash a lot, but in life too, I think like the 20s and 30s is really where like if you have a good mentor, it just like kind of takes you to the next level automatically.
Yeah. And honestly, mentorship is something we talk about a lot. I think we both are aware of the benefits of having a mentor, but also being a mentor, because there are people younger than us getting into, I mean, specifically Melee. That's where we have the most experience.
Yeah.
And we're trying to continuously build our understanding of being an adult and all that, right? So I'm really curious. You mentioned earlier a new idea you have for content, and to gas you up, I think I mentioned this last week or 2 weeks ago. When you have a
Yeah.
content idea, it's usually like pretty intertwined with something you're digging into for yourself,
Mm.
and that might be teeing you up for something that's not true this time. But all I know is that when you have an idea you're ready to run with, I'm ready to click that link on
Yeah.
frame one. So tell me what you got cooking, man.
Yeah. I've been trying to figure out, I think I've been trying to figure out how to do it, and I'm thinking of like structuring my videos. Because I was talking with Billy Bo Peep about an idea that I was telling you before involving like save states and stuff like that, and using the training mode. I don't think I have the capacity for it right yet to do it, so I'm kind of keeping that in the back pocket. But whenever I have a good idea for a video, like I'll usually like, even if I'm in the shower, like I'll probably just like hop out of the shower and just type it in my like ideas like notepad on my phone, and just keep a running list. And I don't know, I was checking it at last night at like 1:30, and I was like, I don't know, I've been itching to do a little bit of content, and I was like, I'm not sleepy, maybe I'll start doing it tonight. And obviously I fell asleep 5 minutes later, as I do. But there was one idea where I'm like, I think I can execute this really well. I just need to figure out how I want to, whether if I go the video essay route or the PowerPoint route, or a mix of both. But one cool one that I've been thinking of is essentially 5 ways to improve your gameplay in Melee without playing the game.
I love
And
that.
I think that's something that I've consistently done through my career. And I was feeling myself a little bit and yesterday because of the bracket, and we'll go into that next. But I think there's just so many ways to improve on the game. Arguably, you'd also just need to spend time outside of playing to get better. It's arguably harder work, but I think I can pose it really interestingly. Like, it's just as a title that I know is good, and I kind of want to build off of that. So like, I think the idea is good and the title is better, and I think that's what excites me about this content a little bit more. I think my past content, it's been the content is really good, and then like, how do I make the title for it? Because it's like, like Melee, neutral handbook, like with punishing, threat ranges, et cetera, chapter 2, or how to get a job, how to leverage Smash experience to get a job was a really good title. But I had the concept first. But I was just thinking of this title, especially because Billy, while we were talking about the save state idea, mentioned like Smashers just have like shit attention, like baby attention spans, and then you got to catch them with something.
No, that's
Everyone
not just
does.
Smashers. That's everyone.
Yeah, I know. But I was thinking like I shouldn't need to like deviate too much on like doing like lists and stuff like that if I feel like it justifies it. So I think like I'm trying to figure out the balance of like what ideas deserve like a list title versus not, because the leveraging Smash experience to get a job was a list, right? It was a list of four roles in the Melee community as a player, competitor, TO, content creator, etc., right? Caster. So I think that like, but this one I think is really an interesting idea. So yeah, that's it. How do you get better without playing the game at all?
Yeah, I mean, right away I'm hooked. I'm obviously execution is something that we can't. It's hard to like talk about. It's just how is it going to be executed? I think right now you're on a pretty good. You're at a really good level of understanding of like how you want you've tried a few different things. You have some things in your back pocket. You're still experimenting sometimes with format. But as you mentioned, like the PowerPoint could be a thing. It could be like a stream highlight that you go through. It could be a bunch of different ways. So I think you'll figure that out. But the idea is great, and I was right. I nailed it. It is something that is like tied in to something that you're already doing. I think that is your best content. I think that's in general a really good place to start for anyone making content. Like, what do you just care about? What are you already thinking about? And just express yourself through a video, through blah blah blah. So I can't wait. I know you're gonna nail it. 5 might be too limiting, but I'm sure you'll.
I wrote up to 7 so far,
Yeah.
so I actually have the content like lined out. So next is just kind of having a loose script to talk about it, recording and editing. So I'm like already like a quarter of the way there. But I don't know, it's gonna be really fun because it's gonna be like, like there's gonna be some like wasabi classics like thought analysis, or like that's like a freebie,
Sure.
so I don't mind saying it. But I think like
most of them will be quote unquote obvious, but
obvious, yeah.
But sometimes a healthy reminder on the important stuff is good, and maybe your reasoning is something someone hasn't thought about. Like, it's not necessarily the idea that needs to be novel. It's just you're just being honest. This is what I've gotten from it. This is how I've executed on this VOD analysis thing, and that little side thing is what will probably be the most helpful. Sorry to cut you off.
No. I agree with you. I mean, I think also lining it out like one by like one after another is going to be really important, because it's like, again, it's about being purposeful with like improvement and stuff like that in the end, right? Like that's the point of it. Like, and like obviously there's like the examples that you see from like, like the more famous examples, like Dr. PP reading Inner Game of Tennis or whatever, right?
Sure.
Like I remember Slox reading that during like a bracket one time and during like a New Jersey tournament. But I think there's other fun ones too. The one I'm personally most excited for, as a little teaser, is watching other games. And I think both fighting games and other games, but also sports too. So I'm really excited about that. So I'm going to probably go really hard onto that topic.
Can I do can I have a collab? Can I get one where I talk about getting everything else in your life in order, where like so pretty much like prioritizing Melee correctly? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. No, that's on my list. So
okay. Well,
so you want to just take that spot?
I mean, I'm just saying it'd be fun to come in. It's gonna be on your channel, obviously, but I would love to just hop in and have one little thing, and I just send you a quick recording, and
yeah. Let's figure it out. Yeah, that would be fun. That is on my list too. So
Sweet.
So no worries. A holistic approach is like one of it. So
awesome.
Another thing that we've been shouting from the rooftops on this podcast.
Oh yeah, it's my first thing I mention usually. So dope. Thanks for letting me do that.
Yeah, no worries.
And I know probably this was a topic on Twitter in the zone of improvement, but I saw a thread about Leffen saying, hey, these people at Regen, I don't know if you saw this thread.
Oh no.
Top 4 in Regen was also top 4 in attendance at Levo.
Yes, I saw that. Great. I liked all of what he said, actually.
Yeah, I mean, he did shit on college students for no reason. Leffen is just, he says,
I mean, it's not a Leffen tweet if he doesn't shit on someone.
He's just so abrasive, and I'm like, I have to stop myself and not get fucking triggered, but whatever. Yeah, it was a good conversation, and obviously tournament is something we've been talking about for a while, is specifically you entering tournaments again and getting into online brackets, and you entered one on Sunday, and I'm here for it. I did not see anything about it, so pretend I know nothing about this tournament. What went down? Fill me in.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you bring up the Leffen tweet, because he mentioned that first at week 2 of SEL. And I was like, yeah, like I really got to put myself out there. And it's so important to like, it was actually like the first time where even if I was like nervous and stuff like that, it felt like, it was like specifically still for practice. And I don't think I've played a tournament as much like that. Like I know Beerman said it like that, where it's like a test and you're testing yourself. But I think like back in New York, there always felt like a pressure, even before I started, like before and after I started getting good results. It always felt like the tournament was like for me to like prove my worth as a player, right? And show that I can like take names and beat Smuckers or whoever, right? But I think this time, like I went in being like, I know I'm gonna be nervous. I know my play won't be the best. I'm like, pushing myself to enter it, like having butterflies and all, because I need to get used to that pressure, you know? And like I went in just with that thought, and I wouldn't say it made like a huge difference. You know, I was still playing nervous and stuff like that, but I like expected adversity. And I think, you know, that's something that I talked about with CLG during the CLG coaching session with Coach Bobby Esfat and Pew Pew. But it definitely like helped for sure. And your boy made a little run, which I'm pretty happy about. Nothing spectacular. I ended up getting 13th in the bracket, which was solid. But I got 2 solid wins against Blues Clues from Texas to make it out. Yeah.
All right.
That was a 2-0, and I played horribly. I like because with the box, and I was talking with Zuppy about this, you know, at least with the GameCube controller, you can be like holding it, and like that's kind of grounding you, like just gripping the controller. And maybe you would grip it too tight, but you're holding something. With the box, since you're floating it and your hand starts shaking, it just is like the worst for inputs.
No. Okay.
You know, like and it wasn't shaking too bad, but it's just like it's hard to execute. And so I was just like, you know what, like this is for practice. I'm practicing like being under pressure, and like I was just like, I know what I can do and I know what I can't do. And so I didn't try to do anything technical against Peach. I literally just was like, okay, what am I aiming for? Laser to like 40%. Don't get hit. Work the platforms. Throw out the bears. Immediately turn my back.
So you were just
up throw up air.
You were hugging. You hit the floor. You found you're like, this is my floor. I will. It's good. I will rely on it. I'm not gonna go nuts.
Yes, exactly. And I just like was like literally like the only thing I mean, there's a lot to critique about my play, of course.
Sure.
The one thing that maybe I'm biggest critiquing is he just for some reason didn't edgeguard any of my straight side Bs above ledge or Firefoxes, like just above ledge. I didn't even go to ledge. I just kept going straight, and I'm like, it's working, so I'm just gonna do it, you know?
No, that's not a critique. That's just a critique on them, pretty much.
Yeah, but yeah. So and it was like kind of one of those like you just kind of clutch the 2-0. Like, you know, the first one, it was like I like eventually got impatient and went for an up smash, and like I'm flying off the blast zone, like not at super speed, but like I would need to recover from pretty far away. And he just goes with a star KO.
Wow.
Just to close game 1. And then game 2, I actually like yelled pop off. Like I actually like, and I didn't stream it. I don't think I'm ready to like do both yet.
Sure.
But like PLR could hear me from like downstairs. Like I was just like, yes, like, you know, because he whiffed the down smash, and I actually hit the timing to do like a wave dash. Like it's tight, you know, hitting a wave dash out of shield off of a down smash into a wave shine up smash, right? Like a lot of people just that's not easy.
It is confirmed, but it's not easy.
No, you have to get it like frame 2, I want to say. It's pretty tight.
Sure.
2 or 3 maybe. But I got that to close it out on game 2. And and so I was up on winner's side of top 32. And then I played Army, actually. I unfortunately got 3-0'd. I haven't played Ices in a while.
Sure.
And the crazy thing is I still got wobbled, technically, not technically, even if it was banned, because he kept on doing the down throw. So he would pummel a few times, then down throw, down air, reset.
Oh, no.
And I totally forgot how to do it. I know it's down away, but I also just never practiced it on the box.
That's why tournament's important, man.
I know. So
I got this on the to-do list.
Yeah, but it was kind of crazy because I was like, oh, this is how ICs are going to play, like, moving forward. They have to, like, mix up down throw, down air, and then down throw, up smash, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's a true 50-50, which is crazy and still really powerful for the character.
Sure.
But it was very funny because it was just like pummel, 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 down throw, down air, pummel, 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 down throw, down air. And I thought that was really funny as a way to circumvent wobbling. And it was a chump check. I got chump checked.
Yeah.
And it was really funny because I actually lost all last stock for them, even without knowing that. And it was one of the things that we talked about, during our commentary block, where I just clearly did not have the experience or knowledge to work that situation, and that made like all the difference,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
because everything else was pretty close. It was like one stock for all of them. He actually had to make a game one. He had to make a one stock comeback against me. So I thought I was playing neutral pretty well. So I went to losers and I beat Chokenator from California, from NorCal, which
I'm
was good.
unfamiliar, but I'll take your word that that's a good win.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
deep
I
in
mean,
bracket. I mean, shit, you got to be good to get that deep in bracket.
yeah. He was solid. He was an Ice Climbers player also.
There you go.
It was a redemption. It was a 3-1. Still got hit by down throw down air. I hit a few, few spot dodges to get out, which was great, but still got hit by it. But again, I played really, really solid, and like it was just like, again, it wasn't like my best play, but like I was most impressed with my neutral. Like my neutral, just like I couldn't get touched. And I think like from making the videos and thinking about the game and relearning the box, like it was the first time where I felt like, okay, like where's Icy's threat range is, like, okay, like I'm outside, I'm like clearly outside of the wave dash threat range. Like I'm just gonna spam down tilt and back air. And like when I think they're gonna come in, like I'm gonna drill in their face. And I just like kind of executed a really simple but good game plan.
Nice.
And I'm pretty like happy about that. And then there was an upset where YCZ beat Kadoran. And so I had to play Kadoran the next round, which was crazy. And at that point, like with the nerves and him being one of the best players in this era, as we've talked about on the Bottom of Smash Mountain SCL week review or week preview, it was crazy. I mean, his neutral was good, like very much Patrick Star meme. Like he's just standing there menacingly, and he was like always out of my threat range, and it was very frustrating. And it was like that, and the mix of like not really being able to execute my game plan and feeling pressured to do something different for my game plan to like make up for the difference, made it a very, very quick 3-0. But it was really good experience for sure to like kind of just like be in that pressure. But yeah, I mean, I'm not like happy with it per se, and I want to make it, to top 8 eventually in the West bracket. But I think that like it was a really good start, and then the first like kind of run that I'm look back on, and I'm like, oh yeah, like that was pretty solid. I'm pretty happy with that for my time. And also like I lost to like Army, a former top 20 player. And I lost to Kadoran, a current top 20 player, which is crazy also. So overall, I'm pretty happy with how I played.
Absolutely, man. Good for you. That's a really good tournament. I mean, we've talked back when tournaments were more common, especially HNC stuff, like that kind of medium happiness level that you want to make sure, because if you're too hard on yourself, you burn out. And if you're too happy, you get complacent, right? So I think you in particular have really zeroed in on a super strong mindset. Like you don't allow yourself to shoo away that the joy too quickly, but you also kind of convert a lot of that energy and momentum into more productive and more beneficial things going forward. I guess the one thing I would look out for is those nerves, those tournament nerves. And I think that could be addressed with some journaling and some reflection on expectations you're setting for yourself. That sort of call out with the controller versus box is something I've never even considered. That's so interesting to me.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think you have a really good post-tournament attitude. And I think it might be a red flag if you're getting nervous, but again, that also kind of goes away with time. It just might be sort of what you know how you go into every tournament, like I want to improve on this. I would suggest that being your kind of next, like I'm going to improve on nerves and expectations.
Yeah. And I think, I like the idea about journaling and stuff like that. I think that was the point of the whole tournament, right? It wasn't even to make a run or anything. It was just to put myself through trial by fire to like get better at like playing in tournament and bracket. And I think the funny thing is like that will just come in time. Like going back to Leffen Suite, I just have to like kind of put myself in that, because tournament play is very different from like friendlies play, right?
Yep.
In a lot of cases. And I think it wasn't even like I wasn't nervous in terms of like, oh, I need to like perform or stuff like that. It's just like being able to actually like move and like hit the text that I want to and like play the game that I want to um on the box. And I think, just like knowing that I'm like in bracket, that this could be my last game, or that this could be the last game of the set for me to take and stuff like that. Like it wasn't like, oh, I had to like prove anything to anyone. It was more of just like typical, like you're like it, you're in a bracket. It means like there's like a weight to it that isn't there in friendlies. And I think, by entering more, like that will come in time where I can like hit my ledge dashes and like not side B a million times into center stage and stuff like that, even if it worked for me that one time.
Hey, it's the Slippy era. Side Bs have gotten a huge buff, so
it's true. Yeah. But that's like fool me once, but like fool me the 10th time, like we take it.
Yeah, true. I think that's the expression. Fool me once, fool me 10 times, we take it. I like
that. Yeah. Yeah, but overall I'm really happy. The box is coming along, and yeah, I'm like getting really, really good practice on it. So
yeah, absolutely, man. I'm super amped to have these kind of tournament reviews more, even if I'm just kind of on the outskirts. I love hearing about it and kind of maybe trying to give an outside perspective and helping in any way I can. So super amped for that to continue. And perfect segue. And another thing I'm super amped to continue, another thing I'm ready to practice is commentary. So me and you specifically did some commentary for the European Regional Regen Online. It was a wonderful event. The whole same circuit is just like tip top in terms of production quality and organization. Just across the board, they're so great to work with. And we were, we kind of just signed up on a whim. I had done one European tournament previously. Apologies for not remembering the exact name, but it was in the same circuit. And then we kind of did it again. We put our names in the hat, and we signed up separately. I don't even know if I put your name. I never put a name for like preferred commentator. I thought that might be a little limiting. I'm like, hey, just put me wherever.
You asked me to put your name because you already submitted it.
Oh, did I? Okay.
Yep.
Well, my bad. Big mistake.
No worries.
But no, it was great because funny enough, we had never really talked a lot about commentating together. It's always kind of been something I've been more interested in because commentary has always been a zero-sum game with playing a tournament and commentating. So, it's a decision that we both made. But in this case, neither of us are eligible to enter these European tournaments, and we got put together, and I thought we did a fucking amazing job on commentary. I feel like with you and the comfort level I felt, I'll just speak for myself, it was the best commentary I've ever done. But together, both of us, it's just like, we know each other so well, and now we're watching Sick Melee. It's like, it was, I don't know. It was just a breeze, and it was a lot of fun. But I'd love to hear your thoughts, man. We didn't have a lot of time to chat, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. I know you got cut off with a little family emergency. Glad that's all well, first of all.
Yep,
but yeah, no. Honestly, best commentary for me too. My pool for commentary events is smaller, but I thought it was really good. Like even like among like us doing like years of podcasting and stuff like that, you kind of just know when we hit a flow, and I thought we especially hit a flow in the singles pools, and I was really impressed with our doubles also. I thought that was impressive too. But yeah, no, it was so much fun. Again, like I want to do more commentary opportunities like this where it's like in the morning and it's like absolutely perfect for me because it's like no one really is available to play, for one thing, and two is I can't enter the bracket myself. And so it's like I can specifically chunk the time out, and I'm definitely more interested at the moment being an online commentator than like an in-person IRL commentator. So it's funny that I might not commentate as much depending on the event and stuff like that in the IRL like post-COVID era, just because I want to do my money matches and get my practice and stuff like that. But I think like it's just was so fun doing it with you. Like I think it was my best performance too as a commentator, and I thank you for giving me like the platform for rants. And I think one of the best things was just our synergy. Like we could have been talking about anything, but like you knew when it's like, oh, Will's on a roll, he wants to talk about this, and then you kind of just like knew when I wanted to hand off something. And I think like just from us doing this podcast, it just really flowed really well, where I like knew when your rant ended, and you handed it off to me or asked me a question, and then or vice versa, I handed it off to you, or like something sick happened in the game and we both like just stopped talking and we just weren't talking over each other. And that alone is really, really big, where it's like, oh, sorry, you go first, sort of thing. And it was funny because Walt actually messaged me afterwards being like, hey, great job doing commentary. Like you guys like just like look like you've been like commentating for years, like just the synergy was there. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. He said we had good synergy, but I interpreted that as we've been doing it for years.
Sure.
And it's funny because we kind of have been, right?
Yeah. So this is we were texting about this yesterday, and because spoiler alert, we got asked to do some weeklies. So Sunday for me afternoon, but between so what would it be for you, like
1:30 your time, 10:30 my time, tentatively.
Tentatively. But the production team, the TOs, were happy with us. I think we also fulfilled our obligations fairly well of giving shout outs to the sponsors, giving shout outs to the charity, checking the boxes as well as not checking the box of like not making a terrible joke, like
of course.
And so I don't want to gas ourselves up too much, because I think we're both very aware of and very excited at the prospect of still improving so much, like getting our reps in with commentary. It is quite different than podcasting. But I mentioned to you yesterday that like, hey man, this makes a lot of sense. We've both been competitive players and students of the game for 7 years now. We've been talking weekly for 70 plus hours together, and that accumulation and finally we both have this kind of everlasting love for the game that sets us up to be to start off pretty decent and I would say good at commentary, but also to be able to start like a long-term duo, because that's kind of I talked to Toph. We have a Toph interview in the bag that we'll be releasing soon. Is that a spoiler? Oh, who cares?
No, that's coming out next week, so it's fine.
Sure, yeah, and so I think that something he said was him and Scar were coming up, and they had that duo, and they just got gigs as a duo. It's just a thing. It's common, and whether that kind of sticks to online. I love online tournaments. I for commentary, I should say, I think it's like right now, especially the setup is fairly easy. You check in 15 minutes before, and then afterwards, you just step away and job's done type deal. I think it's like a perfect gig for us to get that XP. And I'm excited for the same way I was excited after our first couple podcast episodes. Like, what was it, episode 4, where we were like, man, this was good. I felt like
episode 4,
I felt like our first commentary gig was like episode 4. Just, man, imagine how much better we can get at this, and how much fun it's going to be if we start off and it's this fun.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's crazy that we both remember the episode also.
Yeah.
Like I clearly like know it was episode 4, and it's funny that you do too. Yeah, I think like as a duo it works really well, because also like, and we've talked about this on the podcast, and I was kind of reflecting yesterday after we were texting of like, dude, we just like such different parts of the game also.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And it's just very funny because like we kind of just riffed off of each other with it, right? And I think that's really funny. Is like, not that I have no interest, but for the sake of like explanation, like it's almost like the stuff that I want to talk about and focus, like you don't have as much interest, or you don't like see it to like the depth that I do, and then vice versa. Like the stuff that you want to focus on and do that, like, and hype up, and you're really good at hyping stuff up, I think, like you want to take. And so it doesn't feel like we're ever really competing on a subject, because we always just want to talk about like something differently about the game. And I think, you know, from our podcast experience, the best thing that we did was like be like, here, okay, this is the end of my rant. Okay, what do you think about it? Your rant can start now. Sure. And that's almost like how we did the especially singles. And I thought that was amazing. And I showed Pilar it, and like I realized like you gave me such space and time to like rant and then talk about the game when I felt like we had time to, especially during like the Triff match where he was kind of, you know, Bezzy, great player, I know we said, but you know, he really just took that game for himself, Triff. And it gave us like a lot of time to like talk about concepts, and you kind of just like let me run with it.
Yeah, and part of it too is that we've been doing online commentary before it was necessary, right? Like we've always done online podcasting. We've done what, 2 IRL, maybe 1 IRL podcast episode, which was good. It was fun, but our experience lies in that what we're doing right now, where we're in separate rooms and we're just kind of not you know, we're limited a little bit with how it's a delay thing, right? And so I think sometimes commentators that are more experienced with IRL events and duos that are more experienced with IRL events, there is a back and forth that's a lot snappier, right? It's like the jokes, when a joke comes up, you want to shoot from the hip. You want to like riff and just kind of whatever top of your head and laugh and ha ha ha. And that works in SCL with the people on the couch. It works with any sort of BTS Smash event where they're all next to each other. But when you're strictly online, ranting back and forth like a monologue dialogue is the only way to be clean. It's just facts, right? And so we were practicing that. We know the handoff. We know when the other person's kind of done talking. We also know when the other person's not done talking, but they should be done talking. That's more of a skill you develop. That's so you're better at that than I am, because you need to be. But you know what I'm saying? It's like we lined ourselves up for online commentary pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, but also talking about that, we like knew when to interrupt each other. Like there were a few times on both ends where you're like, yeah, but like, you know, to interrupt you, like X player is doing just what you talked about or something like that, and like we kind of just segued back into the game. And I like that. Like I think something that I realized, especially when I was like prepping, because I prep really, you know me, I went full try hard with this again. And I prepped really hard for it. I was thinking about like reflecting on like how I commentated the Alston Melee Bender first and how I would do it with you. And I think it was just like, I knew what topics I wanted to talk about, but I knew that like if I talked about it like willy-nilly, it would like interrupt the gameplay. Sure. And I think like personally, the thing that I'm most happy about is I felt like I got the big game concepts that I wanted to talk about when they came up in like the right manner and like time that it needed to be. And I think I obviously can work on like making it snappier and faster. But you know, going through even like watching Twitch chat, you know, they're like, oh, commentators that like talk about the game, Pog. You know, and like it felt like we were like actually
so happy about that.
It felt like actually like everything that came out was like in reflection to what was happening in the game, and it was like a good mix of like play by play and like also like big like, hey, let's educate the masses also.
Right. I think the big things that I'm always looking out for as a commentator and as a spectator who, you know, is highly critical of other commentators, you know, my whole Melee career, I'm picking them apart. But, you know, I feel like if a joke's funny, like I love to hear funny jokes. Everyone loves to hear funny jokes, right?
Yeah, of course.
And I think right now there's like a commentary meta of like, you want to get a lot of jokes out so that some of them really land and, you know, sometimes you get some jokes in there, but that is again a zero-sum game of distracting from the gameplay. You know, in between sets, me and you had so much Melee to talk about because that's what we do. We are here, and even though I'm a self-defined comedian, this is my space to be very like analytical, and yeah, a joke will come up, I'll say it, but I'm just like obsessed with this game, and there's, you know, we could talk for hours about one set, so why aren't we? Like, this is the time to do it. And so, you know, in between sets we had that back and forth pretty easily, and we kept it on topic. But besides that, and this is something I was super excited about in our chat, you know, in our text, was like, dude, we love the game so much that it's almost like second nature for us to stay on topic. Like,
yeah.
We are not tempted to also, we already know so much about each other. We catch up all the time that I don't need to catch up with you during commentary. Like, I don't need to ask you about yourself or talk about myself to you. We're good. We're checked in, you know, to updated to the week. So who cares? We have Melee to talk about. And so that's I'm happy you said that. I haven't watched Twitch, and I'm actually going to try not to, because I always do. So I'm like,
oh, interesting. I had it running on my second screen only because once in a while they came up like, oh, let's go player from X country. So like when I brought up like remember there was one time where I'm like, yeah, and both of these players are from the UK, so like we might be getting a little bit of a like back and forth meta in some of their decision making. That's only because I saw it on Twitch chat. So
that's actually really smart. Yeah, definitely something.
Well, I think like that's the biggest thing to improve on, and then I'm gonna prep for it for Sunday. I'm part of the Melee Stats Discord. I mean, it's just a huge freaking Discord, but I'm gonna ask about some of the EU players, because again, we're commenting top 8 for Sunday Beatdown on this Sunday. So I want to improve on like just knowing about the player storylines and like, you know, what are they about and stuff like that. So I'll hit up Melee Stats for that and do my due diligence with it.
Nice.
And to close the thoughts about the meta, I agree. I mean, I think some commentators are just super good with it. Like, it feels like I've been really loving like the squid laugh mix, like the squid laugh plus the slime jokes hit really hard.
I love it.
It hits so hard. Like, I just like, I think the other thing is like we just like you know, like we just both know each other like from us doing the podcast. Mm-hmm. Like I don't think I'm like the quick snappy joke type of thing. Sure. But like I'll nerd out and like ball out about like concepts and stuff like that. And I'm perfectly fine filling that role. And same with you, you kind of were like hype and funny. And it was just like that worked really well. I wanna, you know, we talking about commentary, I'm curious on your thoughts on us doing doubles for the first time also.
Oh man, I wish I didn't have to get pulled away. It was a family emergency. It was one of those things that, you know, it looked way worse than it was.
Yeah, I can. Yeah,
I go upstairs and I saw something that could have been terrible, but it was just, you know, it was being taken care of, and at that point, it just like I would have just been really distracted doing comment. It's not like they needed me.
No, I think you did the right move.
Yeah, and I knew I knew that one, you could hold down the fort until you got another co-commentator. You could have done solo the whole time, but regardless.
I can't believe I was doing solo for doubles. I find that so ironic.
That is pretty funny. Yeah. But
someone thought I played Dota, by the way. The shout outs to Baumi for filling in your role when after you left.
Sweet.
But he asked me like, yeah, like the way you're talking, like, do you play a lot of like Dota or League, you know? And I'm like, no, not at all.
Yeah, you are not a MOBA player. That's so funny.
I have not. That's so funny. Yeah.
Yeah. So the doubles, I thought it was gonna go different than it did. I did think we did a good job too. I wanted to set the stage early, both with you and an audience. We're like, hey, we are students of this right here. Like, this is hard. I consider myself a fairly experienced commentator, but doubles is just different beast. It's very, very difficult.
It's so hard. Yeah.
Very difficult to contribute to the doubles experience, right? And I think for what we were doing, which was sticking hard on macro concepts and not allowing ourselves to get too distracted with all the action that was going on, where we really tried to maybe check in 3 to 4 times a game. Like, oh, here's the stock count, this is what's going on. Or, okay, we find ourselves with red team at a lead. Or, oh, there's that sandwich. Like, we'll get excited if the gameplay matches something we were talking about. So I think having I think we just picked a really strong lane, either intuitively or with the prep work you were doing. Actually, probably more so how you kind of came in, like, hey, these are the concepts I've been learning about, and then kind of tied that into an attitude of we are students and we're not going to pretend to know more than anyone else. We're just here to watch good doubles and get better at this. That's what I was really happy about, was our attitude and our prep. Your prep.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, it was really fun. I had fun. Doubles is so cool. I got, like, the more I talked about it, the more I got excited about, like, the concept of, like, what doubles could be. And you called this. You're like, yeah, once you find, like, a static teammate, I'm sure you'll like teams and stuff like that.
Yeah, obviously you're gonna pop off for doubles. It's twice as melee. It's you know,
it's 2 times the neutral.
Yeah, exactly.
4 times actually. But yeah, no, I mean, reflecting on I'm just so super happy I took it seriously, because I felt like I could actually stand on. I mean, I had to when you left.
Stand on your own.
Stand on my own in doubles, and I thought that was. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just really happy with, like, how we executed it and, like, what we talked about. And then, like, again, like, it was just also, like, you planned ahead. Like, you were like, hey, like, let's talk ahead of time about, like, how we want to approach this and stuff like that. So it, like, wasn't just, like, solo prep work. It was like, okay, like, you handled this stuff. And, like, I, like, only touched positions and team comps, you know, and you handled the rest. And that was good enough. And it was crazy how much you just can't talk about everything in doubles. Yep. Or I actually realized over the weekend, you can't talk about everything ever, but especially with doubles, you have to kind of nitpick.
It's infinity things. Times 2. So
yeah,
well, yeah, you almost like times 4 almost, because you have, you know, double the interactions plus the team. It's like, yeah, so many things get introduced to the game that's already super complicated.
Yeah, and funny enough, even without playing any MOBA, I like inherently, like, you know, you've seen some StarCraft commentary. I mean, like Artosis and all of that, super famous. And so it's like I had a general, like, impression of, like, oh, this is how you talk about, like, teams and stuff like that. And it was like almost like it was funny again, like, someone thought I played Dota or League because of it.
Because the macro stuff we were
yeah, it was just really crazy about, like, how we approach it. It was, again, it felt like we were just not commentating melee almost, and that's what I thought was really, really cool, because we were talking about, like, teams, or they're pushing into their territory, or, you know, like, oh, this is the comp that they're going for and they're vying for this position, you know, and like that. I don't know, it's just super, super interesting. I thought doubles commentary was, like, a particularly fun challenge last week.
Yeah, I agree. I think we rose to it. Again, I can't wait to give it another shot. I think when it comes to these regionals, we have just as much right as anyone else to keep applying, right? To keep putting our name in there, be like, hey,
we got to make it to Levo. That's the big one.
Yeah, we gotta make it to the end game here of European tournaments. But yeah, just to kind of close out the commentary, I was making jokes about being pissed off at you, where I'm like, hey, this was my thing. You came into content, I gave you that, but I still had commentary, and you came into that, and you're just, you know, you do the work and you show up and you have the baseline talent where I feel threatened. But it is a lot of fun because we do complement each other. I don't think we stepped on each other's toes. Besides, like, the match interrupting us and being like, oh, wait, yo, shut up. Like, you know,
yeah, shut up. Yeah.
Shut the hell up. What was that? So yeah, just across the board, like, I think we have the makings of a really strong team, and we'll put in the reps, and we'll check in and do kind of post analysis on the podcast. We'll do a segment a week if we're going to be doing a tournament a week.
Yeah.
We might have some segments here where if you enter a tournament and we do commentary,
that's most of the episode.
Yeah, and then questions. We got some segments coming along. So
yeah. But before we do questions, which sure. I'm excited to answer. I kind of would love to close on also just, again, shout outs to, like, all the Wannabe listeners, because, like, as I was on Twitch chat, like, people are like, you know, I don't know. I appreciate everyone who listens to us and this podcast, and I just want to give a shout outs to everyone. I know we've been big on, like, shouting out, like, all the homies on our Discord, which obviously everyone can access if they, it's on all of our tweets. But I was just so surprised about people being like, "Oh shit, the Wannabes are commentating," and I'm like, again, like I've never seen some of the tags or their comments of like, "Oh man, like I've been meaning, I like know about you guys, but like I haven't listened to anything. I've been meaning. It's like on my infinite to watch list, right?"
Sure.
Which is a honor in itself, right? But again, I just kind of find it really surprising and humbling about like even seeing like one comment being like again like, "Oh, the Wannabes are doing commentary, pop." Like that's hype. Like that's hype that like it wasn't like, "Oh, it's Wasabi and JD." It was like clearly like, "Oh, we're the Wannabes" type thing. And I thought that was a super humbling thing.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree. Now that you brought this up, I need to chime in before the question.
Go for it.
Yeah, it's always been something. I'm going to keep beating the drum of how we feel about doing the project, which was for the first while, and no one was listening to us. We made it a point that we are going to enjoy this. And as soon as we, got some listeners and we're getting a little momentum here and there, and then the big new thing we keep talking about again, that Discord is a real connection that can kind of go both ways.
Yeah.
It's been amazing to do the podcast, and just so unexpected and delicious when something like that comes on Twitch chat, or like a comment on YouTube, or an episode that gets twice as many listens. Like that stuff, we almost never rely on it, but we love the hell out of it. I'll just put that out there.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's amazing what we've done, and we're gonna keep doing it, of course. Like,
yeah, fuck yes.
Like I can't imagine not talking to you at least on a weekly basis at this point.
Well, it makes us better at Melee. So if not on that,
if not on that, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Also, last final thing
Sure.
before we get into our fire questions, and this is really quick, is you mentioned like you're like, "Grr, we'll do commentary. Grr, we'll do content." That's because that's your fault, right? I was a humble, simple, narrow-minded player trying to get ranked.
I know. I've created
prior
a monster.
to us meeting, and now you're like, "Hey, content is fun." I'm like, "Ooh, okay, let me try that." "Hey, commentary is fun." Okay, let me try that. So next time, see me with a movie script. Is all I'm saying.
Oh man, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I've created this myself. That's what makes it so painful.
Oh god,
my hubris was my downfall. Thinking.
I think that's gonna be an interesting. I want to go hard into that topic when it feels right to. So let's table that for now. But I think that's a really interesting topic too. If you're that's just all from right. My end of it.
Okay. Well, I as long as I get to keep editing the episode, and I get to take a flub of yours and put it multiple times without you noticing, like later in the episode, just to make you seem like you're shit, we're fine, All
right, that sounds good. We got a deal. Check, special episode incoming at some point. But all right, to our questions. We've been dodging it for a while now.
Yeah, let's knock these out, man. These are good.
So I want to start off with. I know which question I want to end with. So let's start off with first about talking about the metagame, right? Like, what are our thoughts on the metagame announcement? And then again, shouts to Cypher, bottom of Smash Mountain, absolutely killing it. We say it every week, but he somehow kills it more every week. Also,
just the fact that the pace is being kept up is insane.
Yeah, I know. From his car, from a cell phone, which is crazy, right?
Unreal.
But big things, right, is a 3-day special event, June, which is my birthday, by the way. My birthday's in June, where it's live streaming all 8 episodes. There are new interviews with all 5 gods and Leffen, and also a new episode called Metagame Godslayer. What are your thoughts, JD, going into this, first of all?
It is great to see. I am super pumped that, look, I think the first time we saw Metagame, it was a really all-encompassing community-wide conversation and event. It went like from hype to super hype to very negative on the third day. And Samox, we were all on high alert. Like, man, are we gonna crush this guy's love for us? Are we gonna just like, chase him away with our criticism? And I think he took a little break from Twitter. I think he wrote some things like, yes, there are necessary changes, thank you, and he was very humble, and he took it so incredibly well from my perspective. And this is just a continuation of that, where he went back to the drawing board and was just like, okay, let's address some of these things, and let's give Leffen. I mean, the big thing for me is that new episode, right? Is Leffen kind of, that was a big part of the conversation, was like, man, he really got shafted. His come up was kind of accompanied with sad music. That's a whole meme, the sad music meme. And he was shown the evidence.zip stuff was kind of one-sided in its execution, to say the least. And it seems that I assume there was some real conversations with Leffen, obviously interviews with him and the Five Gods. I'm excited to see the Gods respond part. I'm sure that's like a watch along type thing. That'll be fun. And I think it's going to be another community-wide thing. I think I'm going to rewatch it. I'm super interested. First off, the first like half plus was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, the first day everyone was like, this is the second coming of Melee.
Yeah. Yep. And I think something that I was confused about when it first happened, but really makes sense now, was how it was not like published on YouTube. It wasn't fully released.
Yeah.
It was just streamed. And at first I'm like, why the hell would you do that? And now I'm like, oh shit, wait, that was like, we were all a focus group. And that I do have high hopes for this, because I've seen what it was and the potential it had, and it looks like a lot of those like new interviews is critical, because it was recorded in 2015. A lot has changed, so I'm very optimistic. I think this is going to be quite good. And Samox, I'm so happy that he took the criticism in stride and came back to deliver more.
Yeah, I mean, Samox, honestly, the way he's approaching it and the way he handled it makes it so that, there's nothing to say besides he's a real class act,
sure.
And again, I'm tight that you brought it up, because that's what my first thought was about the focus group. I think, in the moment we were all thinking oh, if it's on Access, then we can't share it or anything. But it led to him being allowed to make mistakes, which I think was really good. And sometimes, and I think it was Ipengu that brought it up, is when you're kind of in this project, just deep into how the sausage is made, per se, for half a decade more.
Yeah.
It's hard to see it from another perspective, right? And I think that's really big. And he had to roll with the punches. Remember, because of the events of last summer, he had to just edit out so many things and stuff like that. And he did a really good job doing that, I thought. But I think that just as you said, a lot has changed, and more than a lot has changed in the world. It's more of people have grown up, right? People have changed significantly. When you think 5 years, that's that's 5 years, for context, could be you being a first year middle schooler in 6th grade all the way to sophomore year of high school.
It's coming up on 6 years, dude. Yeah.
Almost junior year, junior prom, right? Oh no. But
I was 19 6 years. 19 is not a time I would want recorded and seen.
I know. I mean, and it's crazy because it's just when you think of it in that context, we were all little shits in middle school and high school, and now look at us, right? We're less little shits, we're big shits. But jokes aside, people have changed so much, and Leffen, I think, is a great example where, again, you have the evidence.zip, but he's probably arguably one of the most influential and vocal human I don't want to say social justice warrior, so I'm just trying to think of like the word, but least sus people, and like promotes like good practice in our community, and then like through his like platform says why it's important, and he does that, and even Manga. I remember I was watching like one of his YouTube videos. He's like, yeah, like I think like we shouldn't have like some words in the Melee community. Like I think that's really important, and it's just like to have more people be welcoming. And we're talking about Mango here, right? And like, right? And I think like that's really, really funny. Especially going off of his like very weird Twitch bat and stuff like that, which was in classic Mango fashion. But I'm really excited for the new interviews and the new Godslayer part. I hope that like Leffen is like, because that was a hype moment when Leffen was coming up, especially when I'm sad that it didn't cover it, and it makes sense because again, there's just like, I mean, it's like 8 freaking full movies, right? It's arguably the Marvel universe in one, but I wish that they covered Leffen winning CEO and then taking like the 2 tournaments after that. Like, remember how hype we were like that summer of Smash where he took his first US major at CEO, and then he won FC Return, and he won What the Fox or something like What the Fox, 2 Midwest majors, like back to back to back, and we're like, oh shit, is this Leffen's year? And obviously that's when the green card thing happened, or the visa thing happened. But yeah, again, all in all, class act from Samox. Super excited to see how it changed, and I think that like the last thing I'd like to end on is like the fact that he hasn't put it out on YouTube is a really good thing. One, because like it lets him make this, but with the Smash Talk, it wasn't a like, oh, like it just came out, this is a new thing to watch, and then everyone for those 2 weeks watched it, and then no one talked about it or no one watched it afterwards. Like as long as like once it lives on YouTube or fingers crossed Netflix or something like that, like that's the moment, because like it's a piece of content that stands the test of time, and that's what the first doc did, right? Like there were people that got into Melee from the Smash doc years after it was made, right? And so it doesn't need to ride the hype train. So as long as it's just good, and that's the most important. And I think Samox is working towards that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when it's posted for good, it's hopefully going to be somewhere with a lot of impact. I think everyone's kind of dampening huge expectations. Obviously, Netflix will take a lot of stuff. We've seen a lot of garbage on that site. And Samox has done a lot of specific work to have it eligible for that. And I'm fine with live events. It's for the Melee scene. We're going to be the ones showing up, being that focus group. I said it first. Let it be known. It was my idea, the focus group thing. Will had no idea what he's talking about. I think he's doing it really smartly. I think I really wish I could remember his business partner, because he was heavily featured in the first live stream. He was right next to him.
Oh, yeah. We have to give him a shout out, but we don't remember his name.
Co-producer.
Still shout outs. Yeah, co-producer.
And so the two of them, I think, are rolling this out in a very deliberate, smart, professional way that lets us, keep seeing it and keep enjoying what they're making.
Yeah. It's arguably like this documentary, like in terms of like thinking about the longevity of Melee, and I'll just end on this, is it's almost, this documentary isn't for us. And that's kind of the funny thing about it.
Yeah.
It's because like everyone who's going to watch this live stream right now loves the game already, and they're already hooked, right? But the problem is like in the marketing funnel, right? You have like, you need to get new people into the funnel, right? And that's what the first doc did. Yeah, the top bit, right? And no one's doing that right now. Like no piece of content is doing that. All content is made for someone who already likes Melee to a certain extent. And this doc is really for someone who doesn't give 2 shits about Melee.
Yeah.
And funny enough, everyone who's gonna watch this thing in June cares enough about Melee that they're not the target audience, which is really funny to think about.
Word. Cool. All right. So we're getting a little low on time, but I love this last question. I'm happy we saved it for last. Let's give it a few minutes each to get into this. I'll let you round it out if that's cool. So I'll just
go for it.
I'll take a swing. So Cypher asks, is it more satisfying to get a 0 to death or one big read in a game? So we both talked about this beforehand. The quick answer for me is 0 to death. I think we're both Fox players. That's way harder than a big read, and there really is no such thing as a big read for Fox. I guess some up smash or I don't know. But I would say what's cooler than a zero to death for me is something that is something I've been like practicing there, like a technique I've been practicing very, very hard that I pull off in tournament for the first time. That is by far the most satisfying, like singular moment. I mean, if something's an insane zero to death, that's like a great combo. You know, you kind of those come and go, and those are amazing. And you're like, oh shit, and you go back and you clip it and you put it in your folder and blah blah blah. But when it comes to like, okay, here's what I'm grinding SDI out of Fox up throw up air into a reversal combo, or back throw shine in last stock situations I've been grinding. These are examples that aren't true, but you know what I mean. I would go as far as to say, yeah, that grinding something in practice and then hitting it in tournament for the first time is so juicy. And it's happened so many different times because the first thing I did was like a wave shine. First time I landed a wave shine tournament, I popped the fuck off. So gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I hit something very similar actually yesterday, and I got to put your boy on blast about it. I was playing Pig. We had really good connection.
Nice.
And I landed. I did a empty land shine turnaround, or I think I hit him with a Baron and shine turnaround shine grab.
Yeah, let's go.
And then
it's
killed
good.
him off of it. Yeah, no, it's super good.
Yeah.
And I was pretty happy about that. Yeah, I think what's funny is I think in the melee meta right now, zero to deaths are also really, really hard. And so what's funny about a zero to death, like I'm inclined to say zero to death too, because to get a zero to death these days, sometimes you do have to make a read on something too, right? And this is even coming from like me as a reactionary player. Like I am like, I think he's gonna do this, and I have a primed reaction, and then I react to it. But like generally, to get a zero to death with all the defensive options you have in the game in this meta right now, involves one or two reads, especially for not Fox characters, you know? So I think that's a big thing. Personally, my favorite thing I find the most satisfying is like how to like is like kind of those moments where you, and it could be a big read and it could be a zero death. It's kind of all encompassing, but it's like those moments where it's just like, how the fuck did I just do that? You know, and it's kind of like when your game sense takes over. And Toph made a really, really interesting video about it on his personal YouTube channel, and that's what got me thinking about it. But you know, where like it's not that it defies logic per se, like it could be something simple, but it's just like the awareness and quickness of like a decision making, and then the ability to execute that on the spot is like what like gets me the most jazzed, right? Like I popped off partially like against Blue's Clues because like I just like saw the down smash, and like despite like being completely nervous throughout the whole match about my execution, I like saw the opportunity, and in my brain, the only thing that popped in my mind is, this is my chance to close it out game 2. And I just hit it and timed like the wave, like it's like it was just a wave dash out of shield into a wave shine up smash, not like multiple wave shines, just wave shine up smash. Like I've done that for years, you know, even on the box, I've done it thousands of times, but to be able to like just like throw caution to the wind, and like my nervousness like just went to a full-time 0, or I was just like, fuck it, like this is the thing I need to hit right now, and this is like the best thing to do in the game to close it, is the best feeling.
Yeah, executing that one thing that's like now or never. Oh
yeah, like it is now or never, or like yeah, you just like have to hit it. And I think when it's like your fingers kind of take over, like, you know, those stocks where you almost like don't even like, it's an out of body experience, right? Where you're playing and you just somehow do it, and you look back and you're like, what made me do it? I have no clue. That's the best.
Word, dude. I love that question. It got me hype for the game. I think the microphone picked up some of my belly rumbling. I don't know if you heard that. So this is a great time to end it. Whew. Good convo as always, my man. We hit every single topic we wanted to. That was just surgical. And any last words before we wrap it up?
Shout outs to Regen Online again for giving us the opportunity. And again, we don't have the Twitch stream yet, but check us out for Sunday Beatdown Top 8.
Oh, yeah, we didn't even say that part. We got the top 8 slot tentatively.
Yeah. No, I mentioned it earlier, but
I wasn't listening to. I never listened.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing top 8 for an EU weekly, which I am super excited. It's still a top 8, and it deserves that respect. And I'm super hyped about it. It's a first for me for sure. And again, I was popping off of it when I told you. You know, I typed in all caps for that.
True. All right, my dog's going apeshit. I gotta go. See you later, buddy.
Peace.